Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare
Krishna 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 Hare Ram
Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to see the power of God. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's from Canto 1, Chapter 19, Text 5. And Mother Gita is supposed to give this class, but she's not feeling well, so I'm substituting for her. So without any further ado, we'll start the class. Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Givadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Givadadari Yashodanandana Vajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivadadari Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Rajajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Privajikacharya Restored to the Satyasisi Mother's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nityalila Pavishna Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Privajikacharya Restored to the Satyasisi Mother's Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Charge Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौर भक्तवृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय मथुरा धाम की जय Navadvip Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Jagannath Swami ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari 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 Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimadi Bhakti Tera Swami Nityanamani. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhanta Sri Guru Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tera. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayat Nashta Prayeswa Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavato Samasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. So, Canto 1, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 19, Text 5. Ato vihaye mam amum chalokam vimashitau heta hiyataya purastat Vishnangri sevam adimanyamana upavishatrayam amartyanadyam Ato vihaye mam amum chalokam vimashitau heta hiyataya purastat Krishnangri sevam adimanyamana upavishatrayam amartyanadyam ato vihai yemam amum chalokam vimashitav hiyataya purastat Krishnangri sevam adimanyamana upavishatrayam amartyanadyam. Hare Krishna. Please try to chant. Anyone? So mute yourself and try it.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you lower the little script down, Prabhu, the Devanagari?
Sure.
Thank you. अथो विहायम् अमां च लोकं विमर्शितो हेयतया पुरस्तात् कृष्णाङ्गगृहसेवां धिमन्यमान् उपाविशत् प्रायम् अमर्त्यनद्याम्.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Word for word. Ato, das. Vihaya, giving up. Imam, this. Amum, and the next. Cha, also. Lokam, planets. Vimashitao, all of them being judged. Iyataya, because of inferiority. Purastat, herein before. Krishna Angri, the lotus feet of the Lord, Sri Krishna. Sevam, transcendental loving service. Adimayana, Adimanayana, one who thinks of the greatest of all achievements. Upavishat, sat down firmly. Prayam, for fasting. Amartya, Nadyam, on the bank of the transcendental river, the Ganges or the Jamuna. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaj Pariksit sat down firmly on the banks of the Ganges to concentrate his mind in Krishna consciousness, rejecting all other practices of self-realization, because transcendental loving service to Krishna is the greatest achievement superseding all other methods. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. For a devotee like Maharaj Pariksit, none of the material planets, even the topmost Brahmaloka, is as desirable as Goloka Vrindavan, the abode of Lord Krishna, the primeval Lord and original personality of Godhead. This earth is one of the innumerable material planets within the universe, and there are innumerable universes. There are innumerable universes also within the compass of the Mahatattva. The devotees are told by the Lord and his representatives, the spiritual master or acharyas, that not one of the planets within all the innumerable universes is suitable for the residential purposes of a devotee. The devotee always desires to go back home, back to Godhead, just to become one of the associates of the Lord in the capacity of servitor, friend, parent, or conjugal lover of the Lord, either in one of the innumerable Vaikuntha planets or in Goloka Vrindavan, the planet of Lord Krishna. All these planets are eternally situated in the spiritual sky, the Paravyoma, which is on the other side of the causal ocean within the Mahatattva. Maharaj Pariksit was already aware of all this information due to his accumulated piety and birth in a high family of devotees, Vaishnavas, and thus he was not at all interested in the material planets. Modern scientists are very eager to reach the moon by material arrangements, but they cannot conceive of the highest planet of this universe. But a devotee, like Maharaj Pariksit, does not care a fig for the moon or, for that matter, any of the material planets. So when he was assured of his death on a fixed date, he became more determined in the transcendental loving service of Lord Krishna by complete fasting on the bank of the transcendental river Jamuna, which flows down by the capital of Hastinapur in the Delhi state. Both the Ganges and the Jamuna are amartya, transcendental rivers, and Jamuna is still more sanctified for the following reasons. Om Ganati Viranasya Gyana Ganashalakaya Chakshu Umilitam Dina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Sha Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabhadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate. Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Paramami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhivya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivachari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirveshesha Sunyavadi Pastatyadi Shatayani Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayati Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gurachise Namaha Ananda Lilama Vigrahaya Himaviri Vachavisundaraya Tasmi Mahaprema Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste, Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. So, the English translation again. Maharaj Pariksit sat down firmly on the banks of the Ganges to concentrate his mind in Krishna consciousness, rejecting all other practices of self-realization, because transcendental loving service to Krishna is the greatest achievement superseding all other methods. Hare Krishna. So this text shows the example given by Maharaj Pariksit. Maharaj Pariksit had been cursed to die in 7 days. What does he do? Keeps on administration? No. Goes after material things? Absolutely not. He was super wealthy. Emperors in the world at that time were automatically wealthy because so much wealth was flowing into the treasury because of the way the rules were set up, the laws. The percentage of what everybody was earning across the board was going to the king. So the king had more than enough to be comfortable with. But the Rajarishis at those times, Maharaj Pariksit being one of them, were detached from material things. Still, the material responsibilities they had was that of administration. That they can't get around. So they had to do that part of the job of being the emperor. They also had to make sure that people were in the mode of goodness and that those in the mode of ignorance, the thieves, dacoits, and so on, did not have any effect on the citizens who are law abiding. So all of that he was doing. And he would travel around to make sure that his kingdom was okay, that nobody was causing a problem. But when he got the curse and heard about it, then he decided, all right, this is the time to take advantage of this situation and be fully Krishna conscious, not part of the time dealing with material things and part of the time dealing with or being Krishna conscious. He came from a very, very, very loving and Krishna conscious lineage, the Pandavas especially, his grand uncles and grandparent, were all very, very Krishna conscious. Great grandmother was Kunti Devi. And well, you can't get any better than that. So he was very much connected in Krishna consciousness. And Krishna was impressed with his work and wanted him back home. And that's why this was planned by the will of the Lord. So he sat firmly on the banks of the Ganges, and he began to concentrate his mind in Krishna consciousness. He was going to fast, and fast because he didn't want to do anything else, just wanted to have his mind fully in Krishna consciousness. And when mind controls the senses, so when the mind is in Krishna consciousness, then the senses automatically will practice things involving Krishna consciousness. Just like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that Maharaj Ambarish did. Maharaj Ambarish was thinking about Krishna the whole time. Therefore, his eyes, his legs, his hands, his mouth, his ears, all the senses were used in doing things that were Krishna conscious. And for that reason, Krishna loved him and protected him. Even when Durvas Muni tried to kill him unfairly, Krishna sent his Sudarshan Chakra, and it's actually Durvas Muni that wound up learning a lesson from all of this. So the lesson we learn from it is when we put our hearts into serving the Lord, we benefit tremendously. Let nobody steer you another way and say there's another way to benefit from being in a human body on this earth. There's no other way as beneficial as what you get by being Krishna conscious. So be not only Krishna conscious, but be among those who are Krishna conscious, because that's what keeps your Krishna consciousness intact. When you're doing things that others are doing in the same arena, even reminds me of a mundane example. some of these weight loss businesses. Hmm? If somebody wants to take weight off, what do? After explaining the program to take the weight off, they will also hook you up with somebody or a community that's doing the same thing so that you be among everybody that is trying to lose weight. Then it's easier to keep the rules and the do's and the don'ts for losing weight, what to eat, what not to eat. So if that can even help somebody to take weight off, how much more benefit is there by being among those who are also practicing Krishna consciousness? Weight loss is just that. It may contribute to your health, but the health of the physical body, which is in one sense good because we use the physical body in doing Krishna conscious activities. That's what we have now in this material world. But when we are in Krishna consciousness, not only do we become detached from the material world, there is also the opportunity to go home, back to the sweetest place, the Paravyoma, the planets, the Vaikuntha planets in the spiritual sky. Hmm? So Maharaj Pariksit was preparing to go home. So Srila Prabhupada says in the purport that for a devotee like Maharaj Pariksit, none of the material planets, even the topmost, which is Brahmaloka, is as desirable as Goloka Vrindavan. Now, Brahmaloka is a place where you have very, very long duration of life. It is one of the better planets in this material world. Material world is a prison, but as we know now, even from the prison system in the United States, for some areas of maximum security, and in some areas are minimum security, to the extent that even some of the prisoners are let out to go do some community work and come back to the prison. In other words, the rules are relaxed more there. Same way in Brahmaloka, there's more of enjoyment. There's more of mystic abilities. Those kind of things are there. But there's also birth, death, old age, and disease. And so the problems of the material world don't go away by being in Brahmaloka. But Goloka Vrindavan is the highest planet in the spiritual world, which has no anxiety in any of the planets. And Goloka Vrindavan is the sweetest because there's more of varied or variegated type of relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, more so than the other Vaikuntha planets. Although for all the planets, including Goloka Vrindavan, there is no cause for anxiety. Everybody is perpetually happy, and I mean in bliss. There is no struggle for anything. Everything is provided. Therefore, there is no so-called poverty. It doesn't exist there. So, Maharaj Pariksit is telling us no place in the material world should be desirable to us as Goloka Vrindavan, the abode of Lord Sri Krishna. Now, one can go to some of the Vaikuntha planets, true enough, but by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, at this time, Goloka Vrindavan is also available for us to go. And Srila Prabhupada has set us up to go specifically to that planet. It is the farthermost, and it is also the sweetest in terms of more of ways in which you can relate to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in service. So we cannot and should not aspire to come back to any planet in the material world. All devotees should desire to go back home, back to Godhead, and be the servant of a servant of a servant of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada says, we should desire to go back to Godhead and be in the capacity of either servant, or a friend, or a parent, or conjugal lover of the Lord. So, Maharaj Pariksit is definitely aware of this information. So when he got the curse, what did he do? He immediately said, well, that's the opportunity for me to disconnect from the material world and go home. So as we get older, as time passes, we should also be thinking we're getting close to the time where Krishna can come take us. He comes as death, which is scary to non-devotees because they're losing everything they work for. But the same Krishna coming as death is a boon for devotees because he's coming to take us back home and relieving us of all the problems that this cosmic jail, the material world, causes. Hmm? So just like Maharaj Pariksit was not interested in any of the material planets, we shouldn't be interested in any of the material planets either. Hmm? So some things happen, even the materialists, they're trying to go to the moon and all of that. Sri Prabhupada says it's not possible to go to the moon. So a whole debate about it. There were some devotees that heard Sri Prabhupada say that it's not possible for us to go to the moon by this spaceship. It is definitely possible to go to the moon, but you can go to the moon by pious credits. By pious credits. That's possible. And some people didn't believe it. And some people even got upset with Srila Prabhupada and left the movement for that reason, only to find out later, years later, that Srila Prabhupada's statement was true. And so some came back. So we should aspire to go to the spiritual world. Therefore, we should prepare ourselves to go to the spiritual world. And the preparation, we know that in Kali Yuga, the Yuga Dharma is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is the main preparation. Every service that we do to serve the devotees, to serve Krishna, to serve the spiritual master, that all counts, and Krishna does not miss anything. The Paramatma notes everything that's done for Krishna, and all our prayers are also heard. Now, when we stay together and we make sure that we are nice to each other and not offensive to each other, we are preparing to go. When we stay together, we should enthuse each other to take the process seriously. When we chant, that's one, we do service also. Find any service that is possible to do. Either it just came up and you saw it and took advantage of it and did the service, or go see your the temple authorities and ask for service. Ask to be one of those doing in a particular group. When you are in a team, you also get to work with the members of the team who are devotees. And you can bounce things off each other. And then, of course, for the service, the whole temple benefits from it. So Maharaj Pariksit sat down in meditation. For us, the chanting of the holy name is our meditation. So we are involved in Bhakti Yoga. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 48, Krishna says to Arjuna, Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddhya samo bhutva samatvam yuga uchete. Krishna says, perform your duty equipoised, O Arjuna, abandoning all attachment, success, or failure. Such equanimity is called yoga. This is a very, very important piece of information that Krishna is giving us as far as our attitude towards service should be. Perform your duty. Perform your duty equipoised. Performing duty equipoised means the same as perform the duty with the idea that the benefits are not for me. It's for Krishna. And I'm doing the very best that I can in this service in order that Krishna may be pleased. So whether they're, whichever way that the service winds up becoming in terms of the way in which it ends, that's not as important as the effort that you put in to do the service itself. And also the mindset to do the service. Nobody should do service grudgingly. Nobody benefits from doing any service grudgingly. Grudgingly means I am trying to serve because I've heard that you have to serve and I've seen other people serve, so I'm doing it, but not because I really like it. That will not give us much of a chance to grow. Certainly, if we're trying to do service and we do it in a grudging way, how can we even think of getting to the point of loving Krishna? It's not possible. Now, I know that in this material world, we all know, actually, not just me, that sometimes challenges come when we're doing service. But the attitude of a devotee who is determined should be that when the challenges come, we should be more eager to do the service. Because it puts us in a situation where we have to then give our mind and hearts to Krishna and say, I would like to get the service done. Please help me, give me the intelligence and the willpower to overcome whatever these challenges are so that I can get the service done. As it's written, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he commented that when challenges come during the service, that is his greatest joy. Because, we'll say it again, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said that when he's doing service and challenges come, that's when he's most joyful. Because he knows that the challenges and tackling the challenges to serve Krishna they show that his heart is into pleasing Krishna. And it's not too hard to see that, because doing service, that's one thing. Doing service when challenges come, as soon as challenges come, then Maya says, well, see, there's a challenge now. You can stop doing the service. Everybody will understand. This happened and that happened, that happened. That's why I couldn't do the service. You got an excuse, perfect excuse. It's not your fault. So now you can stop it. Now you should counter with your intelligence and say, but if I don't do the service, then how is the service going to get done? And who's going to do the service? And if I leave it for somebody, then that person is the kind of person that will do the service and somehow be able to overcome the inconvenience. Why can't Krishna give me the same intelligence to overcome the inconvenience and do the service myself? And how loving am I towards the devotees? And how loving am I towards Krishna? And how loving am I towards Guru? And these questions should then turn our minds to doing the service, even when the challenges are there. So when the situation came to Maharaj Pariksit that you're going to die in 7 days. Now, he knew that he had put a dead snake around this person's father, this boy's father. And he was very regretful for doing that. And he wanted some sort of reprisal to come, some chastisement to come quickly so that that could be dealt with and he wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. But Krishna's big plan for the devotee was, I'm taking you back home. So it was Krishna's will that this was all happening. So when we serve, then through Krishna's will, a lot of things will happen also. Don't think that things that happen to the pure devotees based on Krishna's will it's only set aside for pure devotees. A pure devotee is a person whose heart is bent on serving Krishna to please Krishna. Now, some of us, we say we're not pure devotees. The reason being that we are not at the stage where we give all that we got to serve. Hmm? But when your mind is determined to serve and your heart is into the service, then you're pretty close to the way pure devotees serve the Lord. Hmm? You're pretty close to the way pure devotees serve the Lord. So we shouldn't think that purification is for a certain group of people and not for me. We all should make the attempt. This is why the pure devotees who came from the spiritual world show us how things get done. See, the Prabhupada never gave up. He made changes when the changes came, but he always was striving to get to the whole point of spreading Krishna consciousness the whole world over, because that was the instruction given by his guru, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj. It came with challenges. And the devotees that stuck with him and believed in him also faced challenges. But nobody stopped. Adjustments were made. You certainly can make adjustments, but never stop. Engage the senses. So we're performing Bhakti Yoga. And yoga means to concentrate the mind upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead and controlling the senses. Now, when it comes to controlling the service, some would say, controlling the senses, some would say, but that's a very difficult thing to do. As a matter of fact, Arjuna was saying that. It's a very difficult thing to do. More difficult than controlling the wind. And we know we can't control the wind. Now, Krishna says you should keep practicing. Srila Prabhupada says in another way, when we engage the senses in service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees, then they are automatically controlled. It's like a child that's causing a problem, taking something and banging and banging and banging and banging and banging and causing noise where they need to be quiet. So what's the parent do? Parent puts a coloring book in front of the child, gives them a little crayon, Krishna outline. Then they start. This part is blue, so take the blue, and then they start. Now they're doing something constructive, and they've directed the mind to something that's beneficial for them. So the mind just needs to be trained and involved in doing service. Yesterday we were talking about menial services. Menial services, particularly if a person puts their mind to it and their heart to doing menial service, our humility goes up. We begin to understand things that we would not even do at home, that's menial, we would do it for the temple and for the devotees. That would definitely increase our love for the devotees, and our Krishna consciousness will also be increased. Krishna notices everything. So when we engage the senses in service to Krishna and his devotees, they will be automatically controlled. Give the senses something Krishna consciousness to do. So little by little, the material things that we say we like, but we know it's actually a waste of time, we get away from those, then we see we have more time on our hands. Then we can chant more. Then we can hear more. Then we can serve more. And in that way, we grow in Krishna consciousness. And when we grow, it is to our advantage, because that's exactly what Guru wants to see happening. And that's what Krishna wants to see happening. And that gives us an opportunity to go back home. Krishna saying, yes, come home after we leave this body. So don't be attached to the results. Just work hard for Krishna and Krishna's devotees. We should act according to the dictation of Krishna. That is Krishna consciousness. So Arjuna was being asked to do that. Be focused and be centered. and the work that you do for Krishna. And that is proper yoga. So Krishna consciousness, we also, through humility, get helped to give up the sense of ownership, proprietorship. We have to understand that some things that we have here in this material world, yeah, it may be in our name, true enough, but everything comes from nature, and nature is owned by Krishna. So the real owner, the proprietor, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. So with that understanding, we don't get attached to anything, but whatever we have, we should use it in serving Krishna. And believe me, the more we use the things that are in our possession to serve Krishna, the happier we'll be. It's also an easy way towards happiness. So giving up the sense of proprietorship, Maharaj Pariksit was the emperor. He gave that up. He had his sons continue with the ruling. So Maharaj Pariksit, in that situation, is teaching us in so many ways how to be properly Krishna conscious. We should always aspire to be the servant of a servant of a servant of Krishna. It means that we should be serving the devotees. That's the proper way to act in yoga. So controlling the senses is very important. And Srila Prabhupada has advised that when we're chanting, and I know there are different places and different, the people go to and different setups. Some people have their room they go to. But wherever we're chanting, anywhere, Srila Prabhupada recommends have the image of Radha and Krishna in our minds when we're chanting. Now, you can do that anywhere. When you're walking, when you're on the beach, wherever you are, when you're in the classroom, whatever situation. That's when classes are not going on, but you're just sitting there, any place that you are, home, outside, in your neighborhood, just walking, you can chant, but when you're chanting, have Radha Krishna in mind. And I know there are other forms of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the advantage of having Radha Krishna in mind, and why Srila Prabhupada said we should do that, having the image of Radha Krishna, because Radha Krishna is Goloka Vrindavan image. You see, in the Vaikuntha planets, Narayan is the image. He's the Lord. Therefore, if you think that way, then that's where your mind is at. But Radha Krishna are the divine couple basically being served wonderfully in Goloka Vrindavan. So the more you think of Radha Krishna, the more you think of Lord Gauranga, who's also Krishna, in the mood of Radharani, so Radha Krishna come up again. Then you put in your mind in where, or we do that, we put our minds in where Krishna and Srila Prabhupada want us to go, and that is Goloka Vrindavan, particularly Goloka Vrindavan. And that's why Srila Prabhupada is recommending have the image of Radha and Krishna in mind when we're chanting. Devotional service attracts the mercy of Krishna. The credits that we get from devotional service are permanent. Sometimes we do things that we shouldn't have done in devotional service, and we have a little bit of a break, a temporary fall. It happened to Bharat Maharaj. He was attracted to serving a deer. He was attracted to a deer, a baby deer that was dying, so he saved the deer from a river. The mother had actually died. But he also was going to sit in meditation, much like Maharaj Pariksit was. And because he saved this deer from the river, he took care of the deer. That was not wrong. But what became a problem was he neglected his duties in connection with Krishna service to take care of the deer. So if you have a pet, be careful not to have the pet override everything else you do, that you think more of the pet than Krishna. That can be a problem. So Yes, he was this is Bharat Maharaj. He was the son of Maharaj Chabadi, an incarnation of a Supreme Personality of Godhead. We're not talking small time here. Hmm? Still, because he got attracted to a deer, he left the body thinking about the deer, and therefore, whatever you think, this is what's going to happen to your next life. It will be arranged that way. And speaking about that, that's why it's so important to relate well to devotees so that when it comes time to leave the body, they will come to us wherever we are and help us to remember Krishna by chanting with us. Chanting, we get to a point where we won't be able to chant because the senses are breaking down. But Krishna has arranged in such a way that the last sense to go is the sense of hearing. So then when you hear devotees, when we hear devotees on our deathbeds chanting or putting some device that plays kirtan, bhajan, Krishna's name so we hear, then we will be fortunate enough to think about Krishna. And then this is called the final exam. Our death, we will pass and be able to go back to Godhead. So that point is very, 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 very important. Devotional service will attract the mercy of Krishna. So yes, Bharat Maharaj had to take a birth in the deer body, but Krishna gave him the boon of being even in the deer body, which normally doesn't happen to animals. He remembered his past life while he was in the deer body. And he went to ashrams in the Himalayas where people were concerned with meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead and chanting his holy name. And that's where in the deer body, he stood there because he couldn't chant as a deer, but he could hear the chanting. He could hear and he could see, of course, what was going on too. So in a short while, he left the deer body and he got born again as a human being, Jat Bharat. And he was determined this time not to do things to make mistake of connecting with something material and having his life being wasted. So he even just walked around incognito. He acted like he was a madman, but he was very much connected with Krishna consciousness. That was Bharat Maharaj. And there are other situations too, that there were slight fall downs for a short period of time, but they got up and they did the best for themselves. Maharaj Chitraketu fell down because of his offenses at the feet of Lord Shiva. Still, in the end, he was cursed by Parvati to become a demon, but still, in the end, he was saved because he was thinking about Krishna, even in the demonic body. When he fought Lord Indra, he wound up going to the spiritual world, where Indra remained in the heavenly planets, still in the material world. So when we engage in the devotional service of the Lord, we should continue in all circumstances. There could be a change depending on when the body is too old and some things cannot be done. Then we do a change in the service, the actual service, but the quality and the mentality should be, I should be determined to do the best that I can. So keep serving devotionally. Even if the quality has to be improved, yes, there's room for improvement in everybody's life, but keep serving devotionally. So even if you're challenged with material thoughts, do the sincerity of Krishna. Krishna will purify and in the end free us from such thoughts. The whole process of Krishna, devotional service is a purificatory process. When you go stage by stage by stage, you get to one level and you work out some situations, some lessons come, and then you learn from those lessons and you grow a little bit, then you work. It's not a direct going straight up. No, it doesn't work that way. Krishna how situations happen, and then from that you learn from, and then we grow. Like that. when it gets to a point where then we begin to understand Krishna consciousness a little better, and then we learn from what happens to others too, what to do and what not to do, and then we keep serving that way. So finally, we have to sing the glories of Krishna all the time. And in principle number 27 of the 64 principles, the Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj left us. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is a spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada. It says we will not stay in this world for a long time. And only if this body falls, that is our death time, singing the glories of Lord Sri Hari, will our birth in this body be successful. So he's still reminding us about our final exam. It comes fairly quickly. We will not stay in this world for a long time. And the evidence is there. We just turned 2024 and 22 days of it is already gone. One more month, one more week, and the whole month will be gone. So we will not stay in this world for a long time. So as long as we keep serving and singing the glories of the Lord, then that time comes when the body is weak and the soul is getting ready to leave the body. We will still remember and sing the glories of the Lord in our heads, even if we can't speak. Then this body will have served us well. And that is an opportunity that's there for each and every devotee. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for allowing me to do the service. This is to remind each other what life really is like. And when you have takeaways or questions, and then if you do, then please unmute yourself and let's join and have some conversation about Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Oh, God, Srila Prabhupada.
I have a couple of questions. One, I want to know, I've heard it described that the planet that we're living on is a middle planet between the lower and the higher planets.
Yes.
The people that are born on this planet, some are saints and some are murderers. So how does that, why is that? Because if we're taking a human body and then they must have done something in a prior life, it's my understanding, to take on a human form to be able to become Krishna conscious. Why is it that certain people, like these horrible murderers, that's what their human form is used for? And what happens? Well, they go to the lower planets, but then I guess it's hard sometimes to really put it into context because it's such a mixture of saints and demons.
Yeah.
So
and it's a very good question. I know exactly what you mean. See, you've asked the question because you understand that in this human body, we have the kind of intelligence that would make it possible for us to go back to Godhead. But why are people in human bodies and wasting it on moral ignorance activities like murder and theft and all those kind of things? Well, this whole process of transmigration, tatadihantara prapti, going from one body to the other, is an evolutionary process. Some may be in a body, souls that is, may be in a body that's not human. But after a while, they'll get to a human body. Sometimes after a long time, we'll get to a human body. Getting to a human body means, yes, you will know that there is God, but we have free will also. And so when people see what they can take advantage of in their own minds about material nature, they may decide, I want immediate gratification. And then they will go after these kind of things. Now, once we get our minds in living a material life outside of God's rules and service to God and humbling ourselves before God, then the person has used their intelligence to connect to materialism. But they have the choice to do that, though, because Krishna doesn't force us to love him. And for doing that, they obviously waste their lives. And any devotee that understands this will wonder, just like you asked the question, why is it that a soul now is in a human body and they will do something atrocious like that? Well, that's why, first of all, you have the free will to do whatever. But there is also consequence. And a person that behaves that way, murders people, steals, causes problems, not only go spend some time in the lower planets where there's punishment, the hellish planets, but will not get an opportunity to come into a human body the following life. They'll lose that. And so this has been going on. People doing pious things, they have been promoted to heavenly planets. People doing impious things have been promoted to the hellish planet. This medium planet is a place where there isn't as much wealth as there is in the heavenly planets. And the suffering is not as bad as it is in the hellish planets. And especially in Kali Yuga, when the time is so short. The lifetime is short. When we get this opportunity to hear about Krishna and connect with Krishna, because we are pious already, and pious people are the ones that connect with Krishna, to go higher, then we take advantage of it. If we take advantage of it, then Krishna takes us back. But other than that, even devotees, everybody has free will. So you do whatever you want to do. So if you say, I came, I saw, and I conquered, you're just thinking about material things to try to have better facilities. But if you came, you heard, and you served the Lord and lost devotees, then you have much better opportunity to go back home. So the spiritual masters are here. Krishna always, there's no time in the material world that he doesn't provide information for us to go back home. It's always there. But it's a question of whether the person wants to take advantage of it or not. So yeah, it is our free choice though that makes some people do what they do, because they think, oh, if I take this, then it's done at the individual level, it's done at community level, it's done at national level. People just trying to take so-called the spoils, the booty of the earth or whatever planet that they're on, and not thinking about Krishna. So some people want the kingdom of God without God. They want the material world and everything in the supplies without God. That's their choice. That's their choice. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. And that's why there's repeated birth and death like that. People the soul going into different types of bodies. 8,400,000 of them. So now that we understand that we can get out of this body and have death be a thing of the past and anxiety being a thing of the past, we take advantage of it and stay Krishna conscious. Thank you for the question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Prabhupada. Any other comments or takeaways or questions?
I think Deb said she had two questions, right? I was wondering.
It seemed to me like she fused them together.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well,
Unless
I don't
you have
want
a
to
second
take
one.
up I don't want to take up too much time, but I did have a question. Can you expand or expound a little bit more on what you were saying about Prabhupada and whenever he said that we didn't go to the moon? Because I also have heard devotees in agreement that it didn't happen. Can you expand a little bit more on that? Thank you.
Spiritually, as far as going to the moon, spiritually, it takes some pious credits to be allowed to go to the moon. In short. Now, as far as things that happened here, sensitive material involving the government, what I heard, and this was put out, that also convinced, I believe Srila Prabhupada anyway, and because Srila Prabhupada was just stating how things are set up going from a higher planet to a lower planet or to the medium planet. He described it the way it is in the Shastra. One of the scientists that was in NASA said that the spaceship has to clear certain parts of the atmosphere in order to reach the moon. When we talk about distance only, even distance alone, where the moon is, that brings questions as to whether we actually landed on the moon or a planet that we thought was the moon. But the point that this particular scientist was making, and this was put on YouTube, was that there were some areas that the amount of heat that's in that particular atmosphere was not the type, on the way to the moon that the spaceship could actually handle. He put it that way. In other words, he didn't say that we didn't go to the moon. He says his doubt is because there are certain places, and he didn't remember it. He named it. I just forgotten that name, but it is known that the temperature there is pretty high, and the spaceship cannot survive in there. So then he wonders how the spaceship could have gone through that atmosphere to try to get to the moon. That's why we're saying that, yeah, there are other planets that are close to us that they could have landed there. But if we're talking about the moon, he said it was actually impossible to get through with the kind of machine and its materials to get through that kind of heat, to get past it. So that was his reasoning. Hare Krishna.
Very interesting. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance.
That's fine. Go to the Prabhupada.
I just want to share my takeaway. Really appreciating the class and devotional service because even Bhakti Vasudev Maharaj, spoke so much last night about devotional service. In fact, he was very direct, to the point, and very Shastric also about it, but really made some important points, and that he talked about. And so it was nice that you reiterated what he said today. I mean, what he said last night, and also to the points that I think even Maharaj was mentioning yesterday. That when we are chanting the Maha Mantra and we are asking for service. So if we're chanting 16 rounds every day, or however many rounds we're doing, but in that chanting, we're asking Krishna for service. So when the service comes, then why are we chanting and asking for service when the service comes, we're not doing it? Just doesn't add up. Marge was saying that yesterday. So that was one point that really struck with me. And I think also one other point he mentioned is, how, which was very, nice for him to, very strong point he made, where Maharaj said that inconvenience and sacrifice is needed for devotional service. That's the only way we can grow. If there's no inconvenience, no sacrifice, then we won't have the taste. I was reading a quote by my spiritual master last night, Bhaktitirtha Swami. He said that he was most happy when he took risks for Srila Prabhupada's service. That is when he was the most happy, and the highest level of happiness is when he took risks to serve Srila Prabhupada, which equals to inconvenience and sacrifice. So that's when the mercy flows. And I was really appreciating that point by Marge last night. But yeah, thank you for speaking about devotional service, because that's why we chant 16 rounds. So however many rounds we're chanting, we're asking for service. So thank you for sharing that point. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, it's important. Very, very important that we serve with our hearts. That's why, His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev yesterday was talking about that. Very, 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 very important. We'll be happier. The more risks we take for the Lord, the happier we're going to be. But we also have to be careful that when it comes to risk time, that's when Maya also says, but why are you trying so hard? Why are you going through this? Why are you? That thought will always come, and you have to brush it aside. I'm doing it because I'm trying to learn how to love devotees and to love Krishna. And for doing that, no matter what comes, I take it as a test to prove my love for Krishna, to prove my love for the devotees, to prove my love for Guru. And so we do it anyway. And that will cause us to be happier in the end. Once you just have to get through it and you'll see the happiness is there. It will come. Hare Krishna. Any other comments? If
Hare
not,
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Please accept
Krishna,
my
Hare
humble
Krishna.
obeisances.
Accept
All
mine,
glories to
Lord.
Srila Prabhupada.
Glory to the Prabhupada.
Thank you for the class, Prabhuji, especially, elaborating on the point of Purab Maharaj. I always think of the lecture you shared with me from Raghunath Maharaj about how, what if Purab Maharaj wasn't alone. So I just want to thank you for bringing that up. But Prabhuji, my question relates to like the example set by Srila Prabhupada. After Prabhupada met his spiritual master and was given instruction, we see, for years Prabhupada, struggled in material life, working his job, moving from one place to the other, starting over again and again. And I was spending time with Maharaj the other day, Bhaktivasudeva Swami, and we were talking about leadership qualities and navigating work life as a young man, and how we move through life as a devotee and our roles change.
Yeah.
But Prabhuji, with the example of Srila Prabhupada, as we're moving through these roles, how can we hope to be as enveloped in the orders of our spiritual master Srila Prabhupada was? I think how, everything Srila Prabhupada did, he did as, a reflection of the orders. He wanted to print books, he wanted to continue preaching, he wanted, to continue Lord Chaitanya's movement, even though there was so much, stress amongst the Gadaya math. So how can we, as we age and as we grow through the decades, say, okay, well, these are my spiritual master's orders. This is what I'm going to hold on to so dearly in Krishna consciousness. Even after Vapu, when you're on the Vani even.
Thank you for that question. It's a wonderful question. Keep the goal in mind. Keep the goal in mind. The goal benefits us. In the long run, it benefits us. What is the goal? We get to go back to Godhead. We get to get away from this material world. We get to get away from anxieties and the struggles of the material world. Keep the goal in mind. So with the goal in mind, the inconvenience, the attempts, the repetition of attempts, the adjustments, the different things that happens, the goal is worth it. We should look at Krishna consciousness like somebody that's running a marathon. There will be different things along the way to try to keep us going. There will be people who will help, but our own strife plays a great role. And sometimes our own physical body will say, but I'm going through this, I'm going through that. And then you say, but what is the goal? Is the goal worth it? And we all know the goal is definitely worth it. Connecting with Krishna back home. And Krishna himself wants us to go. And also, bear in mind that everything that we do in this world, there are some tests that come. Life is not without its tests, without its exam, to prove that we are determined and to prove that we have done some preparation. That's like that every time. That's like that. And therefore, when it comes, you say, well, this is part of life in this world. I knew it was going to come. I just didn't know what form it was going to take, but something is going to come. And we be ready for it. And so we never stop because of the challenges that come, but look at it as an exam that I have to pass. Then if I look at it that way, then I'll keep going and nothing then will stop me. And that's why Srila Prabhupada in this case, was even one more thing that we learned from it. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj had told him, this is your assignment to spread Krishna consciousness in the Western English language. It also had been predicted that he would establish 108 temples. So these are things that Krishna wanted him to do and had related it to his guru, and his guru had told him. So keeping the goal that I have to do this, I'm here to do this, he wasn't going to give up no matter what. And he was told to go to spread it in the West. So finally, he went to the West. And that's when the success began. It didn't happen overnight, but it began anyway. So Srila Prabhupada is showing us when you have a goal, and it's been instructed for us to have that assignment to do, never give up on it. Because Krishna, whenever you get an assignment, the means to do it and the Shakti that it takes, the energy that it takes, will be supplied by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The troubles that Srila Prabhupada went through should be an indication to us that when trouble comes to us too while we're serving, we never give up. Because Srila Prabhupada never gave up. That's why ISKCON is now here. And his devotees who gave up, they're not part of the movement, but those who kept striving, they have done so much that we can, in fact, benefit from. So we should be on the side of striving and being used by Krishna. Then we will be successful, and Krishna will be happy, and Guru will be happy with us. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Krishna's mercy,
You
Guru's
know,
mercy.
if I could add one, just throw one thing, and it's as Madonna always told me, and very important to read Srila Prabhupada Lamrata, especially for any young devotees tackling spiritual and material life. Just that example set by Prabhupada is unmatched. So read Srila Prabhupada Lamrata. Hare Krishna.
Jai, I'm glad you brought it up. Yes, you get to see Srila Prabhupada's way, his determination, and what he did, and how he handled different situations. You learn so much from his life when you're reading Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. So yeah, it's definitely recommended to read it. It's wonderful. Hare Krishna. There's so much you can learn from. Without a doubt. Anyone else? Okay. If not, then thank you very much for having this wonderful discussion with us and also hearing the wonderful way in which we can go back to Godhead by Maharaj Pariksit, the way he set it up in his own life. So we can learn and have a wonderful rest of your week. We just started the week. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripa sindhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
If I can make a very quick announcement that tomorrow morning's class will be at 8 o'clock as usual, but it will be given by His Holiness Bhakti Vasudev Maharaj. So please do share the word around, but he's going to be giving the Bhagavatam class tomorrow morning online. So please do join. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai. And when Chanamala Swami comes on, he usually comes on at 7. And sometimes the regular people that come, they tend to miss it. And Chanamala Swami will come on at 7 on Wednesday.
Just for this week is Wednesday.
This week is Wednesday, yeah.
But tomorrow is Bhakti Vasudev Maharaj.
Yeah. So Wednesday is at 7. Chanamala Swami because of his travels, and then the Prabhupada lecture that will be pulled to Thursday.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
For this week. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vaishnav Thakur ki jai, Gaura Pramanandi, Hari Hari Bo, jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.